From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN Noon News.
Good Tuesday afternoon. Thank you for joining us on your MTN Statewide News. I'm Victoria Hill in for Andrea Lutz. For many, it was back to work today after a long Memorial Day weekend. And for millions of Americans, the holiday was an opportunity to travel and see friends and family. But what does that mean for the coronavirus pandemic? CBS's Natalie Brand has that story from the White House.
Got some brisket here.
Memorial Day weekend saw a return of Americans hitting the road to celebrate the start of summer.
It looks like we were in the cave for 12 months, but now we are all vaccinated and out.
Since Thursday, nearly 9 million people have gone through TSA checkpoints for travel through the long weekend.
We're going to have a really good summer, especially for people who are vaccinated.
While family and friends are starting to reunite, doctors say the coronavirus remains a threat for unvaccinated individuals.
We have a lot of very, very contagious variants that are spreading across the U.S. And so for people who are unvaccinated, it remains a risky summer. But for the rest of us, it's going to be a really good summer.
More than half of all Americans, including children ages 12 and older, have received at least one shot, with 40% fully vaccinated. The Biden administration is still pushing for 70% of all U.S. adults to have at least one shot by the 4th of July. Some states have already met that goal. White House Chief of Staff Ron Klain tweeted that California and Maryland became the 11th and 12th states to reach the 70% mark for adults. Other states remain below that target, and vaccinations can vary significantly by county.
There's still a lot of people unvaccinated in many of the southern states. So that's what we got to work on. If we can improve those vaccination numbers, I think things will be fine. But I am worried about an uptick in cases in many of those states.
Heading into the Memorial Day weekend, the U.S. reported the lowest number of new COVID cases in a year. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, the White House.
A Biden administration official confirms to CBS News that White House employees will begin returning to the complex full-time beginning July 6th. In other news from Washington, the Supreme Court of the United States ruled against a man who was arrested on the Crow Reservation who argued tribal officers don't have the authority to stop anyone without tribal status. This morning's ruling in the United States versus Cooley was unanimous. Joshua Cooley of Wyoming was detained in 2016 by a Crow tribal highway safety agent, and it resulted in an indictment for meth distribution charges. The court's ruling reverses an appellate ruling that found the tribal officer exceeded his authority. The court could issue a decision as early as today on an important LGBTQ rights case. The case centers around a Catholic Social Services claim the city of Philadelphia violated its First Amendment rights by ending its contract after the agency said its beliefs didn't allow it to certify same-sex couples for adoption. Lawyers argued the case in November, and a decision is expected before the court's term ends later this month. And the justices could also hear a constitutional challenge to the military draft. Currently, the draft only applies to men under a 1921 Supreme Court decision. But a group called the National Coalition for Men is asking justices to reconsider. The ACLU, which is representing the group, says the male-only military draft is sex discrimination. The court could decide whether to take the case as soon as this week. Also making headlines today, hackers have taken on the world's biggest meat supplier. The cyber attack forced JBS to shut down its North American and Australian computer networks and forced workers to stop processing meat at one of its largest plants in Canada. The company says the hack could delay certain orders with customers and suppliers. JBS operates plants in 20 countries. This latest attack comes 3 weeks after hackers targeted the largest gasoline pipeline in the U.S. Well, now it's time to check in on the weather scene with Miller on this Tuesday. Good afternoon.
Well, good morning, or I guess say good afternoon. We're so used to saying good morning to each other on the morning show. Sorry about that. Well, you know, it's crazy weather out there. It's starting to get warmer out there. We haven't really had the downslope flow kick in yet, but that extreme heat is on the way. We've got temperatures mainly in the 70s right now. Up in the northeast corner of the state, you can see we do have some 80s already, 70s down in northern Wyoming. You'll notice some cloud cover in the central part of the state. Well, we do have an area of low pressure off to our east and high pressure down to our southwest. And kind of like a little conveyor belt as those clouds are coming in between that. Of course, we're not going to see any rainfall. A lot of folks want to know when's our next legitimate shot at rain. I'll tell you about that and about the record heat coming in the next couple of days. All that in just a bit with the main forecast. Victoria.
Thank you very much, Miller. Butte business owners are stepping up to help bring back the M&M bar. Clothing store 5518 Designs is selling apparel with proceeds going toward the bar's rebuilding after it was destroyed in a fire last month. So far, more than $30,000 has been raised. The store has sold over 1,200 t-shirts and nearly 800 hoodies supporting the cause. The owner of 5518 Designs says the fire left a hole in downtown Butte and it's time to get it filled.
To lose such an important and iconic building when, you know, that's the thing that makes Uptown so magical is the historic buildings, right? And it's just, it's very, very difficult to have that loss in our community. And anyway, we're just thrilled that we could do anything to help.
You can purchase the M&M Bar apparel online at shop5518.com. In Billings, a chemical scare resulted in the partial evacuation of a downtown apartment building on Monday. Several residents of the Western Towers apartments reported breathing problems but didn't notice a specific smell. Firefighters spent the afternoon ventilating the apartment out of an abundance of caution. Not everyone chose to leave the building, and those who did were let back in once the building was ventilated. Firefighters have not determined the cause of the reported breathing issues and did not find toxic gases inside the apartment building. In Helena, a new exhibit at a local art museum is showcasing the work of behavioral health patients. MTN's John Riley shows us the impact it's had on both the patients and the therapists who have helped them along the way.
Over the last 12 months, St. Peter's Health and the Holter Museum of Art have partnered to provide healing arts to the patients of the Behavioral Health Unit. You can now see some of those patients' artwork on display at the Holter. For patient and featured artist Lisa Santillanes, the Healing Arts program helped her rediscover her passion for art and build back up her confidence.
If it wasn't for them, I probably wouldn't have been able to get through this pandemic so lightly. Everything was just hectic and they were there.
The Healing Arts program isn't therapy, just a way to have creative expression while staying at the hospital. Yet staff say there is no denying it has had great benefits.
The first time they came in, maybe they weren't as open or more nervous about it. Over the hour and a half, 2 hours, they've just calmed and really kind of went into that flow state of being there with being present.
The exhibition at the Holter features the work of dozens of patients. Each piece represents a true expression of an individual at that moment, which Holter Director of Education Sandra Hines says is the point of art, and she says she's been consistently impressed by the patient's work.
Go easy on yourself. How many times have you used this kind of ink, or how many times have you painted with acrylic paint? And so let's just give it a try. And the things that they do and came up with are just really inspiring to me.
Santillanes hopes the artwork can also help inspire others to not be afraid of seeking out and receiving care for behavioral health at a place like St. Peter's.
It's a safe environment. They've shown me that they are caring beyond all I could ask for, and it's absolutely amazing.
Reporting in Helena, John Riley, MTN News.
Well, thank you so much, John. We have more ahead on the noon news.